that yes, there will be conflict. Yes, there will be tension. Yes, there will be all kind of stress, But if we are faithful in being where God wants us to be, and we constantly planting and faithful to God, in the due time, God will bless us also. It says here that He continue to grow. Whether it's in a ministry, whether it's in your job, whether it's in your marriage, as you're faithful in that marriage, in that relationship. Instead of blaming your husband or your wife, as you remain faithful, God in His time, as you continue to plant the seed, the gospel to your unsaved friends or family, in due time, you will bear fruit. Secondly, provision. When you're in the desert, what is the most important element? That's right, water. The Philistines were so jealous, they plugged up all the well. So they moved out. But look what happened even though they moved out. Isaac's servant dug in the valley, discovered fresh water. They quarreled, they moved, dug another hole, fresh water. Moved again, another fresh water. Wherever they went, they found fresh water. If God called you to a certain place, be assured that God will provide for us. Even when our neighbor kick us out, even when our neighbor tries to rob that blessing, you can't never rob God's blessing. They plug up the holes, they moved out, they dig, more water. Problem again, here, dig, water. In the desert. Isn't that great? When we stay put where God wants us to be assured God will provide. There's a golf course about half an hour north of where I used to live in Toronto. It's called Newmarket. The name of the golf course is Pheasant Run. Beautiful golf course. And I love playing there because, especially in the fall, with beautiful, color, different colors of the leaves, and so, Dr. Uy knows it's in Newmarket, it's a little bit north of us. And it's a 27-hole golf course, and I play there, and I love it. You know why? Because it's free. It's free for pastors. It's free for all pastors every Monday. And you just have to prove it. You got to show your license and everything that you're an ordained minister and so on. So I played there many, many times. And you play with other pastors, mostly Koreans, because Koreans love, he's smiling, love golfing, okay? So I played there a lot. And I got curious. I said, why did the owner give free golfing for pastors on Mondays? So one day I asked one of the employees, I think, and I just had to know what is the story. So he told the stories like this. The man was a Christian. He was a Baptist, I think, and when many years ago, when he wanted to build that course, he could not find water. And you can't build a course, a golf course, without water. You need lots of water. So he spent lots of money drilling holes, and they could not find water. But one day they said that, the story was told that one day he prayed. He said, God, I really ask that you would bless us with water. Tomorrow I'm going to dig. Please show us a place where we need to dig, because we've tried so many places and they can't find it. And so finally, after the prayer, apparently the next day, he sensed that God wants him to drill a certain place, and they found water. They found so much water that the story again was told to me that there was found so much water that it's more in that course, in that land, than the whole water in the whole city of Newmarket. And it's not a big city, but the point is they found a lot of water. So to honor his promise to God, that he wants to bless through this course, he gave all the pastors every Monday to play for free, to bless us servants of God. So I love playing there. So LRC, you rob it from me, when you invited me to come here. Now I can't play golf, not for free anyway. Okay, but anyway. So let's finally come to the last point, and that is peace. The consequences of following God's call to stay put, if that's what God calls us, He will bless us with peace. Isaac had a lot of tension. There was conflict. He was kicked out from the city by the king, Abimelech. But look at what happened in the end of chapter 26. He says, meanwhile, Abimelech had come to him from Gerar with Ahuzah, his personal advisor, and Phicol, commander of his forces. Isaac asked them, why have you come to me, since you were hostile to me and sent me away? They answered, we saw clearly that the Lord was with you. So we said, there ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you, that you will do us no harm, just as we did not molest you, and we always treat you well and send you away in peace. And then the next one, it says, Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore on oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they left him in peace. Church, they started with tension, conflict. He was kicked out. But when we follow God, we follow God's way, in the end, God will bless us with peace. You know, I like memorizing verses in the Proverbs. And one of the verse that I've memorized in Proverbs 16, verse 7, I think, it says like this: when a man's way pleases the Lord, he will make even his enemies to be at peace with him. This is what it says. When a man's ways are pleasing to the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. So church, this is the good news. When we follow God, even though maybe in the beginning there is tension, there's conflict, but we just follow God and we please Him. Maybe you said, like, that's my wife's fault, the way we are in. And God says, just love her as I love you. And you say, okay, God, I'm going to please you. So you just begin to love your wife. There'll be peace. God, no, it's my husband's fault. You know, that we're all screwed up right now, all this and that. And then God just say, hey, you just honor your husband. And you say, okay, Lord, I want to please you. You're not pleasing them. You're not pleasing your boss or your spouse. You please God. And God says, I'll give you peace. When we follow His way, He will grant us peace. Isn't this great, church? The call of Isaac is a call of being rootedness. Abraham was called out, but Isaac was called to be rooted. The danger is compromise, conflict, and complacency, but the blessing is prosperity, provision, and peace. Let me close with you with a story about this God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob on this point. Last Tuesday, a couple of us from the church leader, we went to South SBTC luncheon for Q&A. There was about 50, 60 pastors. And we could ask any questions we want, like, is hymn better than praise? Or, is elders better than deacons? Or what, that kind of things. But from that meeting, I met a pastor, and I went to visit his church. And so when I began to sit with this pastor, I began to talk with him. He's an older man, maybe 10 years older than me, and he's been in ministry for a long time, and very gentle, like a gentle Ben kind of story, person. And he was telling us this wonderful story. And he pastored 7 churches. And I was shocked. I said, 7 churches? I said, yeah. 4 as a senior pastor and the other 3 as youth pastor and so on. And I told him, I said, well, I've been in ministry for 20 years, and this is my 2nd church only, and so on. So I always thought that, we should stay put. And then I said to him, when I came to Texas, the pastor upstairs, Keith, said that the average Baptist pastor moves every 3 to 5 years. So when I told him that, he said, no, actually it's 2 years. I said, 2 years? Yes, he said, 2 years. And I said, cousin, why would an average Baptist pastor move every 2 years? And he said, because, now this is coming from him, okay? This is from a pastor's perspective, and this one. He says, well, sometimes the pastor needs to move because maybe he's no good, whatever. But most of the time it's because people don't like change. People just don't like change. And so especially when an older church, the old leadership, they're very grounded, they feel like, and they feel threatened by the new pastor, and they like their power, they like to hang on to their power. And so when they feel threatened by the new pastor, they begin to basically kick them out. And because Baptists are congregational, so they do a lot of voting. And when he started telling this story, and it sounded like, I said to him, he said, it sounds like you're talking like as if I'm coming out of experience. I said to him, have you experienced this? He says, yes, my first church. And he told me the story. He goes like this. In the first church that he became the senior pastor, he was leading this church, and one of the church leader fell into sin. And he confronted this leader, and he confessed and so on, and eventually this leader, this family left the church. Now, this family happened to be a rich family of the church, the millionaire of the church. They left the church, but in less than a year, they decided to come back. So they took a vote, and the church decided to invite him back into the church. But within 2-3 months of them coming back into the